Hey everyone, welcome back to another Persona 5 Phantom X video. In today's video, I'm going to be going over whether or not Makoto'S 5-star weapon is worth it. So, I did about 5 runs of running her on the guild boss using her 5-star weapon, as well as using her 4-star weapon. And I will say, not perfect numbers wise, because I did not fully dupe out her weapon. If my weapon was fully duped out down to Forge 6, then I think it would be even more, it would even be a better showing of the numbers wise. But I think the Forge 0, because I don't want to waste a bunch of my Gecko coins or continue trying to grab it. But just going over her weapon, starting with her 5-star, it increases nuclear damage by 24.2%, and when attacking a foe with an elemental ailment, increase attack by 30%. When an ally inflicts an elemental ailment, gain 1 heat stack, and when Crash Out is active, spend all heat stacks to increase next nuclear skill damage by 10% for each heat stack up to 60%. So the biggest difference between the two weapons, I will say, is this right here. It's the Crash Out. It's the up to 60% Crash Out additional damage, which I will say, when we look at my spreadsheet, it does make a difference. But really, that's about it. That's the biggest difference. That and actually the highlight for some odd reason. And then when I'm looking at her 4-star weapon, I'm gonna go to Forge 6. Because realistically, if you're using her 4-star weapon, you should just be fully duping it out eventually. You should go to Forge 6, but I was using it at this. Increase attack by 12%, and when dealing nuke damage, increase damage by 4.4% for each tenacity stack gain. So that means when I get 5 stacks tenacity going, I got a 22% increase around there. Maybe not perfect amount, but at Forge 6, increase attack by 24%, and when dealing nuclear damage, increase damage by 8% for each tenacity stack gain. So let's say that I gained 3 stacks of tenacity. That right there is going to give me a 24% nuclear damage increase. And if I go to her 4-star weapon, this one just straight gives me nuclear damage increase by 24.2%. And when attacking a foe with an elemental ailment, increase the attack by 30%. And when and then going forward, and then let's say that I'm now apt to a max stack. Let's say that I gain 5 stacks. That means I increase it by 40% nuclear damage. So now I'm actually getting even more nuclear damage compared to her 5-star weapon. If I'm wrong about this, please let me know, and I will absolutely correct myself. But from my understanding, from my testing, this is about accurate. This is somewhat within the realm of accuracy. So yes, her 5-star weapon is absolutely going to be better. I'm going to tell you right now, just by looking at things, just for the drip reasoning, her 5-star weapon looks so much better than her 4-star weapon. So I don't blame you guys if you grab her 5-star weapon purely because of the drip alone. But if I actually sit down and look at the numbers now, we can see that overall, that when I did my overall score, my Marvel score change average was only about 14% when comparing my average score here. So I got an average score of 16.3 million with my A1 no weapon dupe. I mean, with 4-star weapon, compared to my 18.6 average of what was it, 18.6 million with my weapon, with the 5-star weapon. And then overall, when I averaged out everything right here, so I was looking at the Crash Out skill 1, the skill 3 no Crash Out, skill 3 with Crash Out, my first highlight, my last highlight, and then the overall ending score. And I was basing it off of earphone iDot's guild boss run for Makoto, just because I felt guild boss made the most sense to do. Why does guild boss make the most sense to do? Because I can basically repeat the same thing over and over again with very little difference, very little variance, besides maybe what elements are being distributed few, and as well as the team order is always the same. I can do the same thing run after run after run. And then you ask me, why did I only do 5 runs? Well, my thought process was, well, I could either sit here and do 100 runs and spend an entire day doing this, or I could do 5 runs instead, and then think to myself that, well, if 5 titrations was good enough for my chemistry classes in college, I think 5 runs is good enough for this testing. Of course, I could do way more testing, and I think it would be absolutely fine, and we could get this average more in line, like more to a definitive that this is about how much. But I think 5 runs is perfectly fine. You can probably add 10 minus 5%, plus or minus 5% to both of these. I think it'll be fine. And then my team, of course, was a A6 Vino with 5-star weapon, A6 Luful, A1 Makoto with either 4-star or 5-star, And then Wonder using Dionysus, Jidokuten, and Yanasik. But this is where overall, the differences honestly isn't that much. And especially when I look at my first highlights. My first highlight, there is no difference, which makes sense because overall, the weapons are close. The only big difference is really the crash outs. Specifically outside of the skill 1. Because skill 1 doesn't actually do much damage to begin with. We can see right here, it's like what? Like 8% increase. Actually, we can look right here. There's a 17% increase right here. Overall, 17% increase for skill 1. Even though that's with max heat and max tenacity, of course, with crash out. As well as my skill 3 crash out average. My skill 3 crash out average was actually a 27% increase. But when you need to realize how often are you able to do that big skill 3 crash out, is I believe when I'm talking to people, it's every 3 turns we can do that. So every 3 turns is where we're seeing the massive increase, the big damage increase. Because, you know, I'm hitting, my skill 3 crash out was hitting 314,000. And I'm telling you right now, it can only go up from here. Because we're going to get Chord in the future, as well as with Phoebe. Compared to my biggest one, which is 273. But the overall difference of my average was only about 27%. And the overall 5-star, when you account for everything across, was only about a 15% increase. And only about a 14% skill increase. So do I think Makoto's 5-star weapon is worth it? In the long run, sure, if you want to keep her relevant, yeah. But in the short run, I think as a free-to-play player, I don't think I can recommend grabbing her weapon. But of course, if you love it, you love Makoto, you love everything about it, you want to make her better, yeah, absolutely grab it. But if like you're on the fence, Makoto, you have Makoto and you're thinking, do I pull her 5-star or should I save my pulls? I would advise saving your pulls and instead grabbing another weapon in the future, such as Chord's, because I think Chord's overall weapon is better because of how plug and play she is for many teams. Going in the future, Chord is going to be a character that we just plug into a team for any team that wants to use highlight or wants attack. So quite literally, basically every single team, for the most part, until we get C's, which is the P3, and Yusuke. Those teams are the only ones who don't really use Chord at all. And the P3 characters are the ones who brought out Chord out of relevancy. But now that we're back into outside of the P3 collab for the next little bit, Chord is coming back strong. So there's my little Chord plug. But if you guys think I did anything wrong or you guys liked what I did here, if you guys want to see anything more like this in the future, I will absolutely do more things like this. But with that, if you guys have any questions, you guys want to know about anything, just let me know down below. And with that, I hope you guys have a good day, good night, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye-bye for now.